Assuming the best result is achievable is what optimism is. Pessimism believes the worst-case scenario will always occur. These two very different personalities have quite distinct outlooks on life. It is undeniable, nevertheless, that optimists lead happier, healthier, and generally more prosperous lives in every way. A tiny optimism can make a big difference. A lot of people think that a person's optimism or pessimism is based on their past. That is accurate to a certain degree. Positive thinking raises children considerably more likely to stay optimists than negative thinking does. But as adults, we have options all the time. It's always up to us whether we waste our time complaining about the lack of lemons or turning them into lemonade. Pessimists perceive challenges, while optimists see opportunity. Negativity is an attitude that is modifiable. When we feel we can attain our goals, and when we desire more from life, this is what will happen. Optimism and optimistic thinking help us see new possibilities, whereas pessimistic views keep us concentrated on obstacles and excuses not to take action. It gives us hope that there is more to life than what we currently have. While optimists don't anticipate victory, they are prepared to take a chance on obstacles and failure in exchange for a potential reward. They find every justification for attempting to pursue happiness. Their belief and mentality, not their aptitude, good fortune, or destiny, define the quality of their existence. Never do optimists regard themselves as victims of their environment. They are aware that bad things might happen at any time, but they are also aware of the abundance of excellent chances that can arise. In order to fulfill their ambitions, individuals so learn how to overcome challenges. Obstacles are teaching opportunities for optimists traveling the path of success. Pessimists are certain that life rules them, whereas optimists believe they are in charge of their lives. It is possible for everyone to become more successful, happy, and optimistic. To achieve greater things in life, all you need to do is acknowledge that they are achievable. Aspirations have a tendency to materialize on their own. People who see the glass half full are more likely to live abundant lives, since it is what they expect from life. Those who are pessimistic and perceive things as half empty could end themselves thirsty for life. This book makes an effort to clarify the optimism attitude, its advantages, and how to think more positively in order to live a better life. No matter what your situation is, you can change for the better. That result in increased achievement. Your thoughts influence your actions, and whether optimism or pessimism drives you depends on what you do. Chapter 1. What is optimism? We all have a hazy notion of what optimism is all about, seeing the silver lining in things and turning lemons into lemonade. Success is a given to optimists. If they are prepared to put in the effort, it is theirs. However, a lot of people think it's a natural skill we have from birth. It's either with you or it's not. There is nothing that is more false than this. Although optimism can be learned, it can also be partially inherited. You are more likely to possess that quality if you were raised in an optimistic household. A positive outlook is one that holds on to the prospect of success. It also recognizes that there will inevitably be obstacles in the way. The unexpected happens often in life. Optimists don't expect everyone to obtain all they desire because nobody ever does. They do, however, develop the kind of resiliency that motivates them to persist. Failure does not steer optimists. Even though there will probably be a lot of wet days, the sun will ultimately come out. You can always fill that glass of water again if it spills. That's how an optimist takes a positive outlook on life. Even if they trip and fall, they always get back up. Compared to pessimists, research indicates that optimists have better health and a higher quality of life. It promotes adaptability, inventiveness, and improved problem-solving skills. All of that guarantees a healthier physique and reduces stress. There is a big difference between optimists and pessimists, so let's see how they behave. Those who are optimists understand that they are in charge of their own lives, ups and downs included. They are accomplished, confident, and self-assured without the help of other people. They control the course of their own destiny. To be clear, being extremely successful or gorgeous is not a prerequisite for being an optimist. An optimist may be a modest someone who leads a straightforward life and is incredibly happy with everything in their possession. That's success to him or her. 2. Optimists network with other positive people. The individuals you hang out with have a lot of effects on your life. We are, so the saying goes, the sum of the 5 individuals we spend the most time with. Optimists make thoughtful friend selections. Unfortunately, pessimists will bring you down with their pessimistic outlook. It's practically a given. Some people have no limit when it comes to things to moan about: the movie, the job, the world at large, a meal at a restaurant, and so on. If you're an optimist, you should steer clear of this mindset, since it always comes over to others. And if achieving success is your aim, be aware that optimistic thinking is the most common characteristic of successful people. Remaining optimistic is a reliable strategy for overcoming adversity. You should try to surround yourself with as much positivity as you can, even though you can't avoid everyone. Seek for those who think similarly to you. 3. Opportunities can be found and revealed by optimism. Problems are seen by both optimists and pessimists for the obvious reason that life is full of them. The difference is that an optimist views obstacles as opportunities, while a pessimist uses them as a justification for doing nothing. Assume John and Jane wish to launch their own company and need to raise $10,000. I don't have that amount of money, John thinks to himself. Why bother? All right, what should I do to get an extra $10,000, considers Jane. The optimist Jane sees a chance for some original problem solving. Where John sees obstacles, she sees opportunities. It's not hard to predict which of the two will do better. 4. An optimist needs self-confidence, which is something we shall go into more depth about in a later chapter. Optimists are self-assured enough to follow their own judgment rather than that of others. They don't bother trying because they know they will never please everyone. They trust their own instincts. When they commit errors, they fully accept responsibility for fixing them. 5. To elaborate on the previous point, optimists refrain from assigning blame to others when anything goes wrong. They let pessimists do the whining. For optimists, the most important things are learning from the experience and doing things better the following time. To reiterate a crucial point, optimism looks for answers rather than justifications. 6. A key element of optimism is gratitude. An optimistic outlook on life enables one to recognize its positive aspects and envision even greater things. An optimist will be thankful to be employed, while a pessimist will whine about their job. The optimist's mindset will enable them to look for something better more easily. 7. Anger never subdues optimism. Pessimists will take pains to enumerate every incidence of unfairness in life. Some people might be more successful than your family, your brother might be more attractive and drive a nicer car, and your family might not be as wealthy as your neighbors. There's plenty to be jealous of and upset about. However, what does it resolve? Like a few other emotions, anger breeds apathy and inaction. Rather than wallow in whining and rage, optimists try to move past their problems and bring about change. As said previously, optimism is based on our possessions rather than our shortcomings. The optimist sees many things for which to be thankful, including food, clean water, safe housing, a lovely garden, and invention. Despite the fact that we have more than any previous generation, pessimists continue to find fault with us. Some cling to their rage as though it were an oxygen supply. Optimists recognize that anger is a chain reaction that impedes progress. Both thinking positively and clinging to negativity are decisions. Hate. You might assume that pessimists believe life will be simple. Though the precise reverse is true, it would make sense. An optimist is aware of how unjust and challenging life may be. He or she is therefore psychologically ready. They acquire the toughness that enables them to face hardship head-on rather than languish in it. Even though they are aware that they won't be granted every dream, career, or romantic partner, they continue to strive despite obstacles. An optimist takes a risk because they believe that success will come eventually. Optimists are different from others in that they are determined to never give up. It is optimism at its purest. Psychologists concur that success is almost hard to achieve without optimism. Optimists will put in more effort, even years of work if necessary, to realize their dreams, which is one of the causes. Someone who is willing to make such an effort would only do so if they are positive about the outcome. He or she never gives up on what might be achievable at the conclusion of the journey, no matter how many obstacles they face. Optimists don't see the rain along the way, they see the rainbow at the finish. Positive thinking is necessary for optimism, yet there is a subtle but significant distinction. "I think I can," the optimistic thinker declares. Says the optimist, "I will." Both of them have engines, although the optimist's is a little bit more powerful. The optimist is prepared to work for years without giving up because of this. Usually, a strong desire for success, either personal or professional, guides him or her. They have a clear vision of their ideal life. For an optimist, giving up on a goal is simply not an option. A middle-aged domestic worker for a wealthy woman, Mrs. Harris appears in the charming film Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. Mrs. Harris is a tremendous admirer of the lady, who has several exquisite Dior gowns. She doesn't, however, stop at admiration. Before she passes away, Mrs. Harris becomes adamant about owning her Dior creation. Years pass while she saves pennies from her servant's pay. She is told she is crazy by all of her pals. With a Dior garment, what could a maid want? Mrs. Harris, though, has a dream. She visits Paris after she has saved up enough cash, where she has a few experiences. At last, she is able to visit Dior and place her dress order. She returns to her job as a maid in London, carrying the hope of her life. Will her ideal clothing ever be hers? Nobody is aware. That isn't the main idea. After years of arduous struggle, Mrs. Harris finally achieved her dream of owning a Dior. Mrs. Harris is evidence that an optimist cannot be deterred. Chapter 2. Benefits of Optimism. Prior to delving into the ways that optimism can and will propel you toward greater success in every aspect of your life, it is crucial to take into account the tangible health advantages that positive thinking may provide. Numerous studies have demonstrated the positive effects of optimism on people's ability to manage their health and recover from disease. Your body and mind function together. Your body benefits when your mind is in harmony. Optimism and heart health. In certain cases, the phrase broken heart is accurate. Heart problems can actually be triggered by stress, worry, and despair. On the other side, the absence of certain symptoms may promote improved heart health. Positivity is good for the heart. A specific study involved the evaluation of 309 patients before they underwent coronary artery bypass surgery. This comprised a mental health assessment. State in relation to optimism, pessimism, and self-worth. It was discovered that 6 months after the procedure, the optimistic group was half as likely as the pessimistic group to need additional hospital care. Pessimists had a 3 times higher risk of having a heart attack than optimists, according to a different study done on angioplasty patients. Blood pressure. Numerous studies have demonstrated the beneficial effects of optimism on blood pressure. More than 600 middle-aged men with normal blood pressure at the start of the trial participated in a study conducted in Finland. Researchers found that after 3 years of monitoring this group, optimists had a 3 times lower risk of high blood pressure than pessimists. Optimists probably do this because they worry less and act positively more of the time. These investigations have been conducted numerous times with same outcomes. Individuals who tend to think more positively instead of negative people are considerably more likely to have lower blood pressure and to be calmer. Infections. An infection can affect anyone. Most infections are brought on by foreign organisms that invade the body and spread throughout it. The body will occasionally deal with these invaders on its own. In other cases, a compromised immune system may cause it to succumb to illness. A respiratory virus was administered to 193 healthy men and women in a 2006 trial. According to the findings, volunteers who were thought to have an optimistic outlook showed a lower likelihood of showing symptoms of infection. Being optimistic helps boost immunity and prevent illness. Many people are unaware of the mind's full potential. General well-being. In a 2-year study on optimism and general health, 2,300 people were assessed. Upon completion of the study, it was shown that those who had the most optimistic outlook were more likely than those who had the most pessimistic outlook to experience better overall health. Optimism and longevity. It stands to reason that optimism would lengthen people's lives if it can enhance health. This hypothesis was validated in two different investigations. In a 1960s study, 839 participants' general health and optimism were assessed. 30 years later, these individuals were rechecked. The findings demonstrated that optimists with higher levels of pessimism also had higher mortality rates. The death rate was lower for those who maintained or raised their level of optimism. In the second study, conducted at the same time, 6,959 pupils were assessed during a 40-year span. Pessimists died at a rate 42% greater than the group with more optimistic thinking at the end of the trial. Numerous related studies have supported the notion that having a positive outlook can contribute to greater health and a longer lifespan. Optimism and stress. One of the main causes of death is stress. According to a recent study, stress affects everyone regardless of optimism or pessimism. It is an unavoidable and necessary aspect of existence. The key is in how each person manages stress. According to the same study, optimists recovered from stressful events far more quickly than pessimists. Optimists generally experience less stress because they don't anticipate that everything will go as planned. They are psychologically ready for the best, yet they persist in trying when it doesn't materialize. They are able to deal better, so their world doesn't collapse. Adversity is not viewed as a regular part of life, but rather as something transient. Optimists are more likely than pessimists to try harder, take more chances, and thus produce more positive events in their lives since they are generally more hopeful and self-assured. Optimists are better leaders. Optimism has many advantages beyond health. Optimism is often acknowledged as a crucial quality of a successful leader, and this is understandable. Optimists see chances and do not allow their circumstances to defeat them. Pessimists can become overwhelmed by difficult economic times, whereas optimists find methods to launch a business and create jobs for others. If someone worried about unknowns all the time, this would not be possible. Positive leaders spread optimism to people around them, fostering loyalty and trust. Optimists are in demand as companions. They inspire others around them as well as themselves to achieve more. Pessimists may be so consumed with worrying about every possible scenario that they fail to start. Optimists concentrate on the bigger picture of problem solving and have faith in their abilities to handle the specifics. The idea that this is impossible will not deter them. Optimists are prepared to put in the effort necessary to succeed. These barriers are challenges rather than deterrents because they are aware that they may encounter difficulties. Because they know that optimists would strive to make things better, people are willing to follow them. Not only are optimists self-assured, but they also give others confidence. They are therefore good managers. Optimism encourages persistence. Optimists do not easily give up when things seem hopeless, since they do not anticipate promises. They almost never give up because they know they can succeed. Success is not whether, but rather how and when. Before achieving their objective, the majority of entrepreneurs fail multiple times, but they don't let that deter them, and they keep reaching after they've accomplished their initial objective. An optimist sees no boundaries, just potentialities. Optimism and anxiety. Numerous studies have demonstrated the balm that optimism provides against anxiety. Irrational thinking is one of the most common causes of anxiety. For example, if you're a pessimist and you observe two individuals quietly talking, you might feel they're making fun of you, or if your boss simply passed by your desk without saying anything, you might assume she despises you. These are the kinds of thoughts that people who are anxious have even in the absence of any proof. They have an expectant and fearful outlook. Extreme pessimism is what anxiety is. Obviously, aiming for optimism is the best method to battle anxiety. It can be challenging to rapidly shift your perspective if you are accustomed to anticipating the worst. Nonetheless, you can increase your optimism by making little changes. Is there any truth to what you're thinking? Allow people the benefit of the doubt. Ask yourself if you are truly important enough for people to be whispering behind your back, even though it may not sound kind. Most people don't give others much thought since they are too preoccupied with themselves. Consider whether there could be a cause behind someone else's, actions that are completely unrelated to you. Pessimism is primarily inward-focused, whereas optimism is focused outward. They lose power over you when you make it a practice to refute illogical and negative thoughts. At that point, you can gradually start thinking more optimistically and reduce your anxiety. Chapter 3. Boost your optimism. When the glass is half empty, life may be brutal and unpredictable. That is just a fact. Optimists don't spend their days just taking in the scenery. Even for optimistic thinkers, adversity can occasionally feel genuine and overwhelming. When the water in that glass starts to run south, that's when we most need our hopeful resources. Just as a sound body requires periodic maintenance, so too does a positive outlook. Fortunately, there are things we can do to help our brain when things start to seem bleak. Optimism is a weak muscle that may be worked and toughened. Practice gratitude. Because it is so significant, gratitude merits its own chapter. This serves as a helpful reminder to focus on the positive aspects of your life during times when it feels like you're lacking. Remind yourself constantly of the positive things around you. Imagine yourself at your best. Optimists naturally tend to anticipate the best outcome in a given circumstance. It can, however, occasionally be taxing. Use the proverb, "Fake it till you make it," in such circumstances. Locate a peaceful area and envision the desired outcome coming to pass. See yourself in a job interview and getting an offer. Maybe you've been unsuccessful in finding a love partner. You've shown patience as you are aware that not all strategies will be effective. You've maintained an optimistic outlook, but you're running low on energy right now. Your only thought is to live alone for the rest of your life on New Year's Eve. Consider a different circumstance right now. Shut your eyes and see yourself as a confident person. George Clooney is scouting you for advice since you seem so amazing and charismatic. When you approach someone, try to picture as many specifics as you can. She will be engaged and smiling. You two actually have a lot in common, it seems. She enthusiastically agrees when you ask her out. You can create your own reality in your head and carry it over into real life. It will sustain you until your dreams come true, because as an optimist, you know that it will come to pass eventually. Occasionally, a small reminder is all you need. Learn to believe in yourself again. You're not feeling very confident. Anyone can experience this. Don't act like nothing is going on. Rather, acknowledge that you are depressed and then take action to lift your spirits. 1. Everybody has a comfort zone. Go outside that zone when you need a boost to your confidence. Try something different, make new friends, and place yourself in novel and strange circumstances. 2. Recognize any critical dialogue with yourself. Your inner critic may occasionally attack you akin to a pit dog in need of food. Recognizing that this is not who you are should be your first move. You have to cut ties with this critic. Respond to it with a speech. Inform your inner critic that they are mistaken. It's a lie, and you plan to take better care of yourself. Negative self-talk may be incredibly powerful and prevent us from moving forward, which may seem strange. You must develop a constructive, contrasting voice that is on your side. Speak to yourself the way you would your closest friend, rather than giving in to this pit bull. To be honest, nobody likes criticism. 3. Write down your accomplishments and instances of overcoming challenges when you feel like you're not making any progress. When we are engulfed in a lot of negativity, it is simple to lose sight of the good. Reminding yourself of the reasons you should be proud of yourself is a good idea at this point. 4. Acknowledge your situation. There are many highs and lows in life. What counts is how you respond to adversity. It's okay to feel bad about yourself if you're having difficulties. Although things will improve, you must accept the situation as it is. Treat yourself to a reward. Reward your victories as you work to restore your optimism. Make more enjoyable memories in your life. Pleasant, insignificant benefits just serve to reinforce your positive outlook. Get physical. You are aware of the health benefits of exercise. It is also capable of doing the same to your mind. If your pessimism is taking over, go for a run, a walk, or enroll in a gym. Simply start moving. Take advantage of nature's bounties. We are designed to be outside. It is really uplifting to walk through a park, near a lake, or along the beach. Take in the scenery with all of your senses. Take in the aroma of newly cut grass, and observe the hues and patterns of the blossoms. Hear the birds twittering and the waves crashing into the beach. Don't dwell on the past or the future. Our minds can go via time machines to both the past and the future when we are susceptible to pessimistic thinking. One may find themselves obsessing about previous transgressions or injustices, or worrying about what might occur the following week or year. We live everywhere, but here and now. Remember that you have no control over the past and have no knowledge of the future. Instead, embrace the present and make the most of everything in your possession. Everything else is irrelevant. The past is gone, and the future hasn't happened, as someone once stated. Adhere to a positive routine. Positive daily routines always make us feel better. They serve as a reminder of our potential and give us a sense of increased control over our lives. As long as you take a daily constructive action, like going for a walk, practicing yoga, or engaging in meditation, it counts. Involved. Few things are more uplifting than being of service to others and changing the world. Take an interest in a cause, then work to bring about significant change. It's an extremely potent emotion. Chapter 4. Optimism and Relationships. Relationships require work. No relationship will survive, especially for the long term, if you won't put considerable effort into it. No one is perfect, and an optimist doesn't expect it. For him or her, what is important is that the positives outweigh the negatives. That is the reason it is so difficult for a pessimist to maintain any type of relationship. A pessimist will focus on a single flaw or problem and decide that this will never work. He or she won't even put in the effort. Expecting perfection is the pessimist's ultimate downfall. Many pessimists spend a lifetime looking for the ideal mate as they end up alone and lonely. When a couple has problems and is willing to discuss them or seek counseling, that is an optimistic approach. You see the possibility of better days ahead. Optimism is a way of thinking, and our relationships depend on our mindset. A successful partnership is usually seen by pessimists as all or nothing. Either it succeeds or it fails. Regretfully, they experience relationship failures all too frequently. Excellent relationships are not born. If both parties approach the relationship with hope, they will succeed. That entails realizing that there won't be a perfect day every day. But when you approach each day with positivity, it will provide you a chance for happiness, warmth, and growth. Now let's get practical. Not every partnership will succeed, but optimism gives you the chance to enhance what you already have and expand the changes you will prosper. There are no assurances, but the likelihood rises significantly. The person who seeks assurances before taking action is the pessimist. The optimist is more aware. The most important component in partnerships is attitude. For a brief instant, picture yourself with your closest pals. Do you constantly criticize them for their attire? Do you worry each time a buddy fails to give you a compliment? Do you engage in activities with your pals because you love their company and they enjoy yours? Now would be a wonderful time to remind yourself that your friend is also your partner. I take it that you're usually happy and encouraging to your friends. Maybe you should adjust your attitude if you are constantly feeling resentful or put down when you are with your partner. Positivity might help you bring your relationship closer together. Your companion will experience nurturing and gratitude. It will be exciting for him or her to spend more time with you. As we've already mentioned, expecting perfection will inevitably lead to a relationship's demise. Rather, focus on your partner's positive traits and attempt to ignore the negative ones. Discuss the remaining issues. There are those other elements in every relationship. Someone who overspends, forgets anniversaries, or leaves clothes lying around. Infuriating. Indeed. But if you let those things take center stage, your relationship might swiftly suffer. Rather, Focus on the positive aspects and recall your partner's admirable traits. This should be an intentional attempt to change the way you think. After that, tell your lover what's on your mind. Express your admiration for his or her sense of humor, cooking skills, and willingness to put up with your family. When he or she offers you coffee or a beer, show gratitude. We frequently fail to express our gratitude for the small things in life. When your kid has sent home a note from the principal, your mortgage is past due and you're afraid about losing your job, it can be challenging to concentrate on the good things in your life every day. It will be simpler if you talk to your partner about your ideas and constructive ways to solve your issue. Like most couples, you probably celebrate important life events like birthdays and anniversaries, but why not make today special by appreciating the little things in life? Enjoy a dinner out just because it's Wednesday. Slip a surprise note into your partner's pocket after a wonderful romantic evening. It's easy to focus on problems and overlook the good moments, so take time to celebrate the small joys. Consider your partnership as a financial institution. Your optimism will grow bigger and better the more you plant it. Withdrawals are all you do, so eventually you'll run out of money. Some couples seem to assume the worst rather than hope for the best. Your partner is having an affair if he is returning home late. Your lover undoubtedly despises you because they didn't pick up the phone right away. Optimism always takes into account the likelihood of a valid explanation. It's interesting to note that we typically experience positive outcomes in our relationships when we expect them. On the other hand, we also experience unfavorable outcomes when we have negative expectations. Our mindset has a tendency to become self-fulfilling. Try changing the way you think about a pessimistic idea. He's running late once more. I'll see to it that he gets a good dinner because he has been working hard. This is not to say that you ignore reality and live in a bubble of rose-colored glasses. Nonetheless, it's better to avoid painting an inaccurate picture of reality. And why assume the worst when there are no facts? We shall act more positively the more optimistically we think, and those are the same as adding money to the account of optimism. They consistently generate dividends. How to infuse your relationship with more optimism. Irrespective of optimism, achievement demands effort. There are ways to make your connection even better if it already exists. 1. It's true that our friends listen to us whenever we whine about our relationship. That's the purpose of friends. While it's acceptable to vent, consider venting about some of your partner's positive actions. Joe cleared the dishes on his own initiative. When I wake up, Mary always has coffee ready. Instead of thinking negatively about your relationship, consider them positively. 2. Give your spouse credit for the little things. It's simple to undervalue other people. 3. Talk about your pleasant recollections together. Why not maintain the good vibes and memories from your wonderful vacation? Remove the photos and look through them. Tell us about your enjoyment of the various cuisine varieties and advise you to check out a few different eateries. Hold on to the positive emotions. 4. Many couples neglect to talk about themselves because they are too preoccupied with talking about the day-to-day grind of marriage, such as bills, work, repairs, kids, etc. Pose questions to your partner like, when did you decide you wanted to get married? Or talk about your personal experiences. I can still feel the pounding in my heart when you walked into that restaurant. These discussions are far more upbeat than, why aren't you able to pick up your socks at all? Chapter 5. Why some people are pessimists and how to stop. Gaining an understanding of the reasons behind a pessimist's steadfast beliefs can help one become more optimistic. You can only make changes to specific traits once you are aware of them. Optimists seem to have far better lives on the surface. If it's true, which it is, then why do some people adopt a pessimistic outlook? Pessimism can also become an attitude if optimism is one. Pessimists suspect that something is dangerous in the world. Any corner could contain a danger. Unsurprisingly, depression and anxiety are easily brought on by this extremely pessimistic outlook on life. Pessimism is not an automatic state. It is typically intended to act as a safeguard against disappointment and loss. A person's psyche may be profoundly affected if they suffer a great loss, particularly if they do it when they are young. The brain quickly builds a barrier to stop more suffering. In this light, pessimism might make a lot of sense. Pessimists are always aware of risk, much like prey in a hostile environment. Regretfully, that threat may actually materialize. Pessimists can indeed attract positive things into their lives just as optimists can. Think negatively to attract ill luck. As they put it, aha, that just supports their initial negative view of life. I was aware of it. What makes a pessimist? 1. Optimists aggressively pursue their goals, whilst pessimists wait for something better for the majority of their lives. The optimist's hope is in the future. After I lose 10 pounds, I'll look for romance. I'll launch my own company once the kids graduate. I promise to make more friends once I receive a raise. The explanation provided is irrelevant. Any justification for inaction will do. The pessimist is not one to take chances or deal with potential setbacks. Because there are no guarantees in life, pessimists generally live their lives hoping and wishing. 2. Pessimists depend on things instead of having faith in themselves. If they obtain that suit, that car, and that house, they'll be all right. Seeking material belongings is far simpler than pursuing aspirations. 3. Pessimists often avoid social interactions, which only makes their loneliness and negative feelings worse. They see people as risks, fearing rejection and other potential negative experiences, which is why they tend to stay away from social situations. 4. Pessimists believe that they are victims of their environment. It's how they always do things. Because there are so many challenges in life, the pessimist feels powerless. There's nothing he can do to stop it. The pessimist secretly believes that he is powerless to bring about the changes he desires. So he takes no action. 5. Rather than trying to fill the glass, pessimists lament because it is only half full. This just serves to confirm the pessimistic notion that the glass will never be fully filled. 6. Pessimists have a tendency to exaggerate even minor incidents in their own imaginations. To the pessimist, what an optimist considers a brief setback is always a catastrophic occurrence. A minor collision demonstrates that everyone is reckless and foolish. If your supervisor suggests editing a report, it's a sign that they despise you and think you're completely unintelligent. Crises are fertile ground for pessimists. 7. A pessimist evaluates himself based on the opinions of others. He thinks of himself as a failure if his neighbor has a better car. The optimist demands of himself what he believes in. 8. Pessimists are frequently the worst judges and juries of themselves. When perfection isn't reached, they start to doubt everything they do and may even feel guilty. Perfection is unimportant to optimists, and they will keep trying even if they know they might fail. Not the outcome, but the attempt is what matters most. This is a really important aspect. Nobody would try again if success could only be measured by perfection. Moving from pessimism to optimism. Optimists and pessimists appear to be same on the surface. They may share the same dreams, the same abilities, and a similar appearance. What distinguishes them then? Mentality. Possibilities inspire optimists, and they will take action to bring them to pass. Fear drives pessimists, and they will take action to prevent their concerns from coming true. The good news is that one can alter their mindset. It won't occur right away. Understanding that you are in charge of your ideas is the first step. 1. A great deal of optimists are unaware that negativity has taken over their lives. It's now considered a safe and normal way of thinking. Take into consideration other options. For instance, let's say you have been waiting for a call at home. The phone doesn't ring after you keep waiting. Naturally, your first thought is that it's clear the other person doesn't like you. People see things as bad as they possibly can. Make it a challenge to think of another reason why there might be no response. Is he or she really that busy? There might have been a private emergency. Did they misplace your phone number? The upbeat person would make the first call. Even if he or she is turned down, there are always alternative options. Think about what you stand to lose when deciding whether or not to take action. 2. Take a look at the people you spend time with. It's true that misery loves company. Negative thinking is contagious, like a cold. Your negative friends and family might be bringing you down without you even realizing it. Start paying attention to people's attitudes. Then make an effort to surround yourself with as many optimists as you can. Optimism, just like pessimism, can spread easily. 3. It's unfortunate to report that the news of today might make Pollyanna into the Grinch. Every report seems to be predicting catastrophe. The networks are glad to provide bad news because it sells. However, how much of this news truly has an impact on you personally? Most likely not at all. Keep yourself informed, but don't read the news too much. If a certain topic interests you, find someone to talk to about it, rather than being attached to one of the broadcasters who will gladly keep you terrified of it all day and night. 4. Write in your journal every night to record your positive ideas. It doesn't have to be anything noteworthy, like winning the lottery or being promoted. Keeping a journal will help you remember the small pleasures in life, such as the smell of your morning coffee, finding a seat on a packed bus, or the kind person who held the door for you. When our attention is drawn to the negative, it is simple to overlook these small pleasures. On a fundamental level, becoming more conscious of the good things in our lives makes us happier. Notice the random acts of kindness you have performed for yourself while you're at it. Have you assisted a neighbor with any packages? 5. While some things are under our control, others are not. That's the way life is. You have no control over your employer closing its doors and you losing your job. Your response is something you can manage. Would you freak out and say it was terrible luck? Will you begin to seek out new chances and network? Will you indulge in a spree of food and drink? Your future can be easily predicted by how you respond to adversity. While losing your job is difficult, it's not the end. Perhaps this is the start of something spectacular. 6. Optimism does not exclude acknowledging difficulties. You aren't being realistic if you lose your job and say to yourself, "Oh well, something will turn up." Opportunities do exist ahead of you, but it is up to you to seize them. Think about your advantages and disadvantages, as well as how you may best contribute to a company. Recognize that finances can be tight for a period, and create a budget that is balanced. An optimist anticipates positive things coming their way and is ready for setbacks. Chapter 6. Optimism and Gratitude. We talked about how important it is to have a positive outlook in the last chapter. Let's go a bit farther with this. 2 essential components of a cheerful outlook are self-assurance and thankfulness. The more you work on developing these character traits, the more optimistic you will probably be. Positivity is made possible by the foundations of gratitude and self-assurance. The benefits of gratitude and self-assurance will be demonstrated in this chapter and the one that follows, along with how we can employ these qualities to reap the rewards of a happier life. 1. Having gratitude increases our likability and approachability. Having a grateful attitude makes those around us appreciate us and want to be near us. It improves our manners and pleasantness. Complainers are typically thought of as unpleasant and inconsiderate people. 2. Being grateful improves our effectiveness at work. Supervisors who fail to express gratitude to their staff members are perceived as less efficient and garner lower levels of loyalty. By providing cash incentives, praise, and recognition, managers can retain their valuable employees and boost overall productivity. 65% of employees believe their efforts go unnoticed or unappreciated. 3. Gratitude maintains emotional equilibrium and keeps the overpowering negative thoughts at bay. Envy, or the nagging worry that someone else might possess something we don't, is one of the main barriers to thankfulness. When we assess ourselves against another person, envy arises. We are much more likely to lose hope and satisfaction in our own lives when we start making such comparisons. Being thankful is the best way to combat envy. 4. Being grateful helps us become less conceited. Pessimists frequently exhibit egotism. All of their concerns center on how to safeguard themselves from the impending calamity, which they are certain is just around the corner. Seldom do we give other people's sentiments much thought. Gratitude causes us to turn our attention from ourselves to other people. Because of this, optimists are typically easy to get along with. 5. Being grateful boosts our self-worth, which in turn gives us more optimism. The components must function as a whole. Every day we are surrounded by signals that tell us we are insufficient. We require the newest automobile, the proper attire, the right job title, and access to the trendiest dining establishments. We should have hundreds of Instagram likes, a specific body type, and attractive features. It's true that advertisers go a long way to spread this idea. In the event that we fail to meet these fabricated benchmarks, we are not nearly good enough. Many of us aren't even conscious of the ways in which these messages could affect us. The impact on one's self-esteem may be severe. Pessimists may attempt self-improvement techniques in a desperate attempt to stay up, but when they fail, they tend to get melancholy. Their pursuit of perfection is the antithesis of optimism. Optimists feel good about themselves no matter where they are in life because they have developed self-esteem. Every moment is enough with them. They may, and typically do, labor for more, of course. However, material possessions never determine their sense of worth. Optimists nurture this sentiment deep down inside of them. They are appreciative of what they already have, as well as the prospect of obtaining more in the future. 6. Gratitude promotes a restful night's sleep. Optimists worry less and focus more on actively achieving their goals, allowing them to sleep more soundly. They fall asleep faster and enjoy a deeper, more restful sleep. 7. Gratitude enables us to overcome hardships. When anything goes wrong, optimists are more inclined than pessimists to take proactive measures to address the situation. 8. Gratitude modifies our perception of the past. Even while we may consider our memories to be unchangeable, they are rarely. Pessimists may recall dark memories of the past, such as, "I was never hugged," "I was always miserable," etc. The issue with always and never is that they have the power to skew memories and obscure the positive while drawing attention to the negative. We frequently recall former events as being worse than they actually were. Gratitude practice flips a brain switch that creates a more positive past, as well as a more pleasant present. We are able to alter the past in that way. This helps us to let go of the past, appreciate the present, and make plans for a brighter future by weakening its hold over us. Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all the others, said the ancient Roman philosopher Cicero. We are able to accomplish anything when we are grateful. According to studies, those who are appreciative see things differently than those who are not. According to a study on students who received some form of support, pupils who are thankful view their benefactors much more favorably than those who are not. Optimistic people always have something negative to say, which makes being grateful extremely challenging. Gratitude makes us feel more connected to other people. This can be a disturbing idea for pessimists, who always see the worst-case scenario. People are susceptible when they are near one another. Letting more gratitude into your life. Gratitude is not only the greatest virtue, but also the father of all other virtues, according to the ancient Roman philosopher Cicero. Nothing is impossible for us to accomplish when we are grateful. Relatively speaking, those who are grateful see things differently from those who are not. Students who have received some form of support or assistance view their benefactors much more favorably than students who are not thankful, according to a study done on these pupils. It is hard to feel grateful when pessimists always find something to be upset about. Our sense of community is heightened when we experience gratitude. This may be unsettling to pessimists who are constantly prepared for the worse. Those who are close to one another are more susceptible. It's easy to be more grateful. Experiencing appreciation doesn't need a lot of money or time, yet thinking more positively has incalculable advantages. 1. Begin by expressing gratitude more. Give your loved ones thanks for being in your life. Express gratitude to the server or cashier who has made numerous intangible contributions to your day. Feel thankfulness in your heart sincere. Thanksgiving is the one day of the year when we give thanks. Make each day feel like Thanksgiving. 2. Stay in the present. Instead of thinking about a report and not enjoying the meal you are eating, genuinely enjoy it. Rather of fretting about when it will rain, embrace the brightness. Take a few minutes to just be silent and acknowledge all the goodness and abundance that surrounds you. 3. Snail mail is no longer used by anyone. Thus, picture your surprise when you write to a former instructor, a neighbor, or a co-worker who has had a positive impact on your life. It doesn't need to be particularly ornate. Telling someone, "Thanks for being you," will brighten their day. 4. Develop a habit of gratitude. Every day, set aside some time to reflect on all the things for which you are grateful. The ideal moment to review your day is right before bed. 5. Convert from apathy to appreciation. Consider that if there were no buses, and you had to walk instead of becoming upset over a late bus. Are you becoming impatient at the market because of the long line? Imagine having to spend hours walking from small store to small store if there were no supermarkets. Does your best buddy sometimes make you crazy? Consider the hundreds of lonely persons who are in need of company. Just flipping a mental switch makes it simple to experience thankfulness. 6. Try not to pass judgment. Every day we make snap judgments about others without fully understanding them. Was a co-worker yelling at you? Perhaps she has a sick child in the hospital or at home. Did your neighbor ignore your salutation? It's possible that they are concerned about losing their employment. It's sage to presume that, until shown differently, another person's actions have no bearing on you. Chapter 7. Optimism and Self-Confidence. The other cornerstone required for optimism, in addition to gratitude, is self-assurance. Nathaniel Branden, a psychologist, asserts that the judgment we make about ourselves is the most important judgment we make in life. A measure of our intrinsic value is called self-confidence. It's an inclination to believe that we can handle all of life's obstacles, the idea that happiness is something we should all strive for. When we have self-confidence, we reach our objectives. When we don't, we withdraw into fear, justifications, and denial. Our ideas and behaviors are rarely grounded in truth when we lack confidence in ourselves. Being optimistic and self-assured increases each other because we act in ways that work for us. It is vital to challenge unfavorable beliefs in order to increase our self-confidence. This isn't always simple if your self-belief was eroded during your upbringing. Our minds are now deeply embedded with these ideas. Other traumas, acquaintances who were bullies, or inept parenting may be the root of the problem. It's critical to realize that nobody has to continue to be a victim. We are able to choose the way we view ourselves. You can release the negativity preventing you from moving forward from your adult brain. You have the power to improve your self-esteem and outlook on life. Everything hinges on the decisions you make. 1. People with low self-esteem fear rejection because they tend to interpret it personally. It is therefore simpler to avoid rejection by giving up. The more you fail to attempt, the lessen the confidence you have in yourself. Putting yourself out there is crucial. It's common to be rejected in life. Consider what would happen in the worst-case situation if you were rejected. If your lovely neighbor declined to go out with you, would your life end? What would happen if you showed up for an interview but were not hired? The truth is that unless we let it, not much would change in our lives after being rejected. Rejection truly has no power once you recognize that, which makes it simpler to try again. Your optimism increases as you make more attempts. 2. Make a decision each morning to do just one activity that will push you beyond your comfort zone. Invite a colleague to lunch. While in line, strike up a conversation with an attractive stranger. Change only your attitude. The world doesn't need to change. Your brain feels reassured that you can achieve anything when you accomplish even little goals. As soon as you acknowledge it to be true, the objectives will grow in scope and significance. 3. A lot of proponents of positivity and self-assurance advise you to concentrate on strengthening your areas of weakness. All people, nevertheless, have a weakness or two. Instead, start concentrating on enhancing your strengths. If you have strong mathematical skills, propose to handle more of the financial duties at the workplace. Do you enjoy cooking a lot? Take on the role of the gourmet cook for your loved ones. You'll see yourself as more capable if you focus on your strengths. 4. Reminiscing about past errors and setbacks might seriously undermine one's confidence. Everyone fails or makes mistakes from time to time, but when you replay past experiences in your head, you merely prolong failure by engaging in an ongoing internal dialogue of negativity. Rather, purposefully divert your attention with other pursuits. Sign up for a gym. Acquire a new ability. Look for a volunteer endeavor that you love. Your mind will become less fixated on the past if you broaden your scope of attention. 5. Give up evaluating yourself against others. The truth is that someone will always be more attractive, more successful, have more friends, and a better job than you. That's just the way it is. Instead, focus on your identity. Of course, there are times when it can be upsetting to see a buddy land the dream job, or a colleague receive the promotion you had your eye on. In the end, though, how is that related to you? Nothing at all. Concentrate on your own objectives and distinctive self. Create your own route to success by utilizing your self-confidence. Never allow anyone else to define your value as a person. 6. While appearance isn't everything, maintaining proper grooming can have a positive impact on how you view yourself. A polished appearance and well-chosen attire can instantly increase one's self-esteem. 7. Since exercise yields quantifiable outcomes, it can greatly boost your self-esteem. Starting off at a jog may make it tough for you to run a half mile. You'll find yourself going a whole mile as you go on, and then much farther. Self-defense classes, such as karate, can accomplish the same goal. Gaining more advanced belts allows you to measure your success. Nothing boosts your confidence more than tangible outcomes. It is undoubtedly feasible to increase your self-confidence by forming uplifting everyday routines. Your level of optimism rises along with your self-assurance. Chapter 8. Daily Optimism. Habits. Having optimism will improve your life. It is a prerequisite for both success and happiness. As we've spoken about, the good news is that we can change our perspective from one of negativity to one of positivity by choosing wisely and increasing our awareness of our thoughts and behaviors. There are a ton of little everyday routines that will sustain our optimism in addition to altering the way we think. These are positive actions that assist us in discovering the hidden gems within each and every day. 1. Give more smiles. It really is that easy. You won't believe how much of a difference it makes to your day. 2. Discover a humorous item. See a fantastic comedy on television instead of the grim news. Laughters tend to live longer. 3. Compile a list of all the individuals you can trust. Watch that list expand as your optimism grows. 4. Drop a secret message for your partner or children. Acknowledge that you brightened their day. 5. Perform a kind deed. Assist someone with their packages. Give the grocery store line to someone else. When you're not looking, karma will strike back. 6. Take care of yourself. Treat yourself once in a while to something exceptional, like an expensive clothing or a night out at a fancy restaurant. 7. Create a custom, such as Wednesday family game night, Sunday supper, or weekend breakfast. 8. Play your preferred music once every day. 9. Take a stroll through an area or street you have never been to before. Perhaps it has something pleasant to give. 10. Pessimists may find it difficult to connect with others. Increase your sociability. Engage in conversation with someone in the lunchroom for 5 minutes. Find out how the person working the checkout is doing today. Greet the driver of the bus. People that are optimistic actually care about other people. 11. Consider obligations as advantages. Everybody has tasks they have to complete, including cleaning our homes, paying our bills, or going to work. Most of us wish these chores could be avoided. When have to is replaced with are able to, we can. You have a job, thus you are able to go to work. Because you have a salary, you are able to pay the expenses. It is your good fortune to live in a pleasant area that allows you to be able to clean the house. The way we view our lives is significantly altered by changing the words we use. 12. Complete the crossword. It's enjoyable and gives you a quick sense of achievement. 13. Decisions are made daily. Start by considering how and whether each decision, where to eat lunch, for example, benefits you. Think about every choice available to you. A certain pessimist spent years eating breakfast at the same cafe because he was afraid of change in any form. 14. Write down all the things in your life that you find objectionable. Even though you might not be able to mend them all, you ought to be able to help some of them. 15. Candles have a unique kind of power. For dinner or a soothing bath, light one or two. 16. The soul can be touched by dancing and music. After every adjustment, play a song that makes you feel better, and shuffle those feet. Dancing makes you feel cheerful, even if you're a cheapskate. Learn to square dance or line dance by enrolling in a class. 17. Start every day with a goal in mind. It could be as easy as completing a report or having lunch at the park. But make sure to carry out your plan. It's an additional means of witnessing achievements realized. 18. Read biographies of accomplished individuals who dared to dream. It will motivate you to follow suit. 19. Optimism can be hard when under stress. When your thoughts are consumed with a never-ending list of concerns, how can you possibly feel hopeful? Make it a practice to meditate every day. It's been shown to be a very effective stress reliever. Just locate a peaceful area, shut your eyes, and concentrate on your breathing for 15 to 30 minutes. You can concentrate on more positive areas of your life by purging negativity from your mind. 20. Remind yourself daily that I change my life when I change my thinking. Conclusion. You will be happier, healthier, have better relationships, and be able to fulfill your dreams if you lead a more optimistic life. It all depends on how you see and handle life. Optimists learn how to make lemonade when faced with adversity. Free yourself from negativity to live a longer and better life. Set an example for others. Individuals find optimism inspiring and like spending time with those that share it. Optimists are more gregarious and make better leaders for this reason. Through inspiration, they take the lead. When you have optimism, you never give up. Even though it could take a lot of effort, you never lose sight of your objective. Pessimists worry about the worst-case scenario all of their lives. Those who are optimists focus their energies on improving things. Everyone experiences sadness from time to time, and life may be erratic. When things are hard, focus on all the positive things in your life, rather than whining about your shortcomings. Everything depends on your attitude. Fake it when it is hard to stay genuinely optimistic. Soon enough, reality will catch up. Consider your past accomplishments when you are setting your ambitions. This will help you remain optimistic about the future. Reward yourself for your positive attitudes and deeds. It will act as a prompt to keep thinking optimistically. When you're feeling good, optimism comes more easily. Make healthy diet and exercise a regular routine. You will be depressed if you don't exercise and follow bad food habits. The past is gone, and we have no idea what lies ahead. Refuse to concentrate on injustices or mistakes from the past because doing so might make you feel resentful and negative. Simply let it go. Additionally, instead of wasting time worrying about the future, get ready for an abundance of opportunities. You are not stranded on an island. Helping others will increase your gratitude. Connections require effort. Perfect relationships are the domain of pessimists only. Those that are optimistic take the required actions to build joyful and loving relationships. Daily decisions are what make you optimistic. Make a sensible choice. Turn your attention away from the negative news. Instead, pick up a book. Search for answers rather than issues. The cornerstones of optimism are self-assurance and gratitude. You will feel more upbeat as you develop these qualities more. Be positive all the time. A wonderful journey starts with little steps.